This really is people power in action. Joan in your ivory tower. Leo in your ivory tower. Enda in your ivory tower. Now you're good, but I wouldn't say you're very good, as Eamon Dunphy would say. I think you could do a little bit better. Joan in your ivory tower. That's what I'm talking about here at the front, all the kids. Joan in your ivory tower. Do you want to hold up the phones for that one? Joan in your ivory tower. Joan in your ivory tower. Enda in your ivory tower. Enda Kenny. That was a test. A few people passed, but not everybody. Enda Kenny. Enda Kenny. Enda Kenny. And the best one of all, no way. No way. No way. No way. Okay, that was excellent. I think we're ready to start taking our first speakers. Right, keep moving up. There's still people crowding at the back there. You can keep moving forward, there's plenty of room, particularly the people back there. Okay, so we're going to start with the speakers are all going to be quite brief. And the plan is that we have our speakers, and then what we will do, for all of those who are still able, is we're going to have a march around the town centre. Yeah! And the reason that that's very, very important is this is the biggest protest in Blanchardstown probably in decades, but it's also very disruptive, really making an impact because the traffic has been blocked off. So again, give yourselves a cheer for that. Okay, now just a few business points. Today, the protest, the truck, etc. There's people going to be going around taking up a collection. For those of you who arrived late, don't think that you missed out. You still have a chance to give all your money. Because what we really need to do is to build a very strong campaign that can defeat these charges with community meetings, protests and pressure on the politicians. So the We Won't Pay campaign also needs to collect money for the costs that we incurred today, which goes into the thousands. Now that's fine, we're happy to do that, but obviously we want to not come out of the march with a big deficit on our hands. So if you can give money either now, there'll be people moving through the crowd, or also on the way out as we go out to march, we'll also be collecting. Okay, so our first speaker is a local resident and local activist and local woman who's done a huge amount of work in the last 3 years to fight, first of all, the household charge, boo. Secondly, the property tax. And now playing a very important role in fighting the water charges. So can you please welcome Hartstown resident Eileen Gabbett.
I can't believe what I'm seeing from here. It's absolutely phenomenal. 3 years ago, I became, as Ruth said, involved in the campaign against the household charge. We said then that it was €100, and the ministers and the government were saying, Ash, it's only €2 a week. We were saying people can't afford it because we were saying at the time it was going to increase, and it did. And they're taking it without my permission for my pension in the local property tax. The local property tax, by the way, was meant to be for local amenities. It's not. It went into central funding, and €500 million, €569 million went to set up Irish Water from the local property tax. This is not a conservation exercise like they're telling us. Water does fall from the sky. We are already paying for water to the tune of 1.2 billion euros a year, and I don't intend to pay one more red cent to the water. They are trying to privatise water. They're trying to make it into a commodity. They're trying to make it like oil, gold, diamonds, and they're trying to privatise its distribution to make money for the people who rule the world or think they rule the world. But we're here today and we're only one group, one massive united group from Dublin 15, and we are saying we will not pay, not now, not ever. Ruth tore up her Water Charge pack, and Paul Murphy tore up his Water Charge pack, and there John Burton, Leo Varadkar, the two ministers in this constituency, I am not paying any more.
Well said, Eileen. No way! We won't pay. Okay, our next speaker is also another local activist and local woman from Clonsilla who's done great work helping build the protest today, Tanya Doyle.
I'm really nervous, I have to be honest with you. I had to write everything down because between marching and organising things, my head is all over the place, I have to be honest. Well, as Ruth said, my name is Tanya Doyle and I'm an activist in the Anti-Austerity Alliance in Dublin 15. I'm living in this area for the last 10 years, and for the last 6 years I have payrolled the banks and the speculators who gambled a loss. Our government, I remember it is our government, has imposed tax after tax, cut after cut, on our Irish society. And this cannot continue. We are supposed to be in a recovery. What recovery? Listen, Enda, listen, Joan, austerity doesn't work. It never will. And how has austerity affected you? It hasn't. I'd say not as much as those people who have elected you. For years, general taxation funded local council water services. So why does this have to change? I know why, because Irish Water has been set up to be sold later and to be used as a loan guarantee for further governments. It is not to make the system better. It is to fund and profit Dennis O'Brien and his cronies. It is time for leadership to lead. It is time for leadership to listen. No more taxes, no more austerity. Start a recovery for the people now.
Okay, thanks, Tanya.
We won't pay. No way. 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 We won't pay.
Okay, I think it's absolutely unmistakable what you're saying. Right, thanks to Tanya. It's not easy getting up for the first time, but it's very important that local residents are the people that are represented here today. The people who are out building the campaign. Right, we've another few, as we said, short speakers before we get going again. So our next speaker is TJ Clare from Right to Water.
How you doing, folks? It's great to see such a big crowd. I think this is going to send a major sign to the government, to the two ministers in this area, that united we will stand, united we will stay, and united we will beat this tax. Together. Together. Regardless of where you're from, what you do, We are opposed to the water tax. Everybody has a right to water. It's not a commodity that should depend on how much you can pay towards it. We all have a right towards it. Shouldn't matter how much you earn, nothing at all. We all have a right to water. Together we're going to stand. It should be free. It's our water. It's going to be nobody else's, despite some government plans to privatise it. We own it. I urge all of you to go back from today, re-energise, and go back. And the next time we're at another meeting or another protest, bring another person with you. We can grow this at a community level here in Dublin 15, a huge area, to show the government that we're not going to stand for this anymore. We're not. We have a right to water.